4,000 years before anyone invented margarine. 4,000 years before low-fat became a government recommendation. 4,000 years before a single commercial dairy company existed, God included a specific food in the diet of the coming Messiah. Not bread, not wine, not fish, butter. Isaiah chapter 7 verse 15. The prophet speaking about the child who would be called Immanuel says, "This butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good." The diet of the Messiah included butter, and the butter God described was nothing like what sits in the yellow wrapper in your refrigerator right now. The butter Sarah churned beneath a tent on the plains of Mamre contained 7 times more of a specific vitamin than anything sold in a modern grocery store. A vitamin so important that without it, the calcium you consume goes into your arteries instead of your bones. A vitamin so deficient in the modern world that researchers have linked its absence to heart disease, osteoporosis, tooth decay, and cognitive decline. And it was in every bowl of butter the biblical world ever made. Before anyone knew its name, before anyone ran a single clinical trial, before anyone understood why the people who ate it stayed strong into old age, by the end of this video you will know exactly what that vitamin is, where it went, and how to bring it back to your table tonight. If you have not subscribed yet, now is the time. But I am not going to tell you about the vitamin just yet. First, you need to see who was eating this food. You need to understand the hands that made it and the promise that followed. Stay with me. Picture the plains of Mamre in the hill country south of Hebron. It is early afternoon. The air shimmers above dry grass and the sun is directly overhead. The only shade for a mile comes from a cluster of old terebinth oaks. Inside a tent made of dark goat hair, Sarah kneels beside a leather bag hanging from the center pole. The bag is made from the stomach of a goat. It is warm to the touch. It has been hanging there since morning, swaying gently every time Sarah passes. Inside the bag, cream from the morning's milking is slowly thickening. The warmth of the afternoon and the gentle motion of the bag are doing the work together. No machinery, no electricity, no temperature controls, just time and motion, and the way God designed fat to transform. Sarah lifts the bag and begins to work it, back and forth, rhythmically, the way her mother taught her. The way her mother's mother taught her mother. The cream inside begins to break. The fat globules collapse together. The buttermilk separates. And what forms in the center of that swaying bag is a golden, dense, warm mass. Butter. Not the pale yellow brick in your grocery store. Something richer, deeper in color. Almost orange in the center from the grass those goats had been eating all season. Alive with fat-soluble compounds that the cream had drawn from the green pasture. Vitamins that the sun had placed in the grass and the grass had passed to the goat, and the goat had passed to the cream, and the cream was now surrendering to Sarah's patient, rhythmic hands. She rinses it in cold water from the clay jar beside the tent pole. She works out the remaining buttermilk with her fingers. She presses it into a shape. She does not know the word vitamin. She does not know about fat-soluble nutrients or bone mineral density or arterial calcification. Sarah knows only what every woman in her world knew. That this food kept her family strong, that the children who ate it grew taller, that the men who ate it recovered faster, that the elderly who ate it daily stayed sharper and more capable than those who did not. And when 3 strangers appear at the entrance of the tent that afternoon, Abraham runs to meet them. He calls for a calf to be slaughtered. He calls for fine flour to be prepared. And he calls for the butter. Genesis chapter 18 verse 8. Abraham took curds and milk and the calf he had prepared. He set it before them and he stood by them under the tree while they ate. The strangers were angels. The meal that preceded a promise that changed human history included the butter Sarah had made with her own hands that morning. This food was not ordinary. It never was. But Sarah is not the only woman in Scripture who understood the power of this food. Move forward 300 years to the time of the judges. Israel is at war. The Canaanite commander Sisera has fled the battle on foot and arrived exhausted and desperate at the tent of a woman named Jael. She offers him shelter. He asks for water. Judges chapter 5 verse 25. He asked for water and she gave him milk. She brought him butter in a lordly dish. A lordly dish. Not a common bowl. Not everyday food. The most precious thing in her tent, presented in the finest vessel she owned. That detail is not decoration. In a world where food was survival, the finest dish was reserved for the finest contents. Jael brought butter the way you would bring out something sacred, because in her world, it was. And then there is Isaiah's prophecy. Isaiah chapter 7 verse 15. A child will be born. He will be called Immanuel. And his diet, the diet specifically named by the prophet as the food of divine wisdom, will be butter and honey. 3 separate moments in Scripture, 3 different centuries, 3 different contexts, and butter is present at every single one. This was not a coincidence. This was not cultural habit dressed up in theological language. This food was woven into the most significant moments in the biblical narrative, because the people writing those words understood, without modern science to explain it, that what God put inside this food was unlike anything else the earth produced. They were right, and the research finally explains why. Now, the vitamin. The specific vitamin that Sarah's butter contained 7 times more of than anything in your grocery store today is called vitamin K2. Most people have never heard of it, and that absence of knowledge is quietly causing enormous harm. Here is what vitamin K2 does. Your body absorbs calcium from food every day, but calcium absorbed without adequate K2 does not know where to go. It circulates in the blood and deposits wherever conditions allow. In the walls of your arteries, in the soft tissue of your kidneys, in the joints where it does not belong. This is the process behind arterial calcification, one of the primary mechanisms through which heart disease develops. This is also connected to kidney stones, to joint stiffness, to the kind of vascular aging that makes arteries stiff and inflexible decades before they should be. Vitamin K2 is the traffic director. It activates a protein called osteocalcin that guides calcium specifically into bones and teeth. It activates another protein called matrix GLA protein that actively removes calcium from arteries and soft tissue. With adequate K2, the calcium you consume goes exactly where your body needs it. Without adequate K2, it goes where you do not want it. A research review published in the journal Nutrients found that populations with higher dietary K2 intake had significantly lower rates of arterial calcification and cardiovascular disease. Studies in Japan, where a fermented food called natto is consumed daily and is one of the highest K2 sources on Earth, showed dramatically lower rates of osteoporosis and heart disease compared to populations with similar calcium intake but lower K2. The calcium is not the problem. The K2 is missing. Now here is where the butter comes in. Grass-fed butter, the kind made from milk produced by animals eating green living pasture, the way every animal in the biblical world ate, contains approximately 15 micrograms of vitamin K2 per tablespoon. Commercial grain-fed butter, the kind produced in modern dairy operations where cows stand in concrete lots. Eating processed grain their digestive systems were never designed for, contains approximately 1 to 2 micrograms per tablespoon. That is 7 times more K2 in the butter of the biblical world than in what sits in your refrigerator today. 7 times. Sarah was not counting micrograms. Sarah was watching what happened to the people around her who ate this food daily and what happened to the people who did not. And what she observed across a lifetime of feeding her family was consistent enough that when angels appeared at her tent, butter was the first thing Abraham called for. But K2 is not the only story inside this food. Grass-fed butter contains up to 5 times more vitamin A in its most bioavailable form, preformed retinol, than commercial grain-fed butter. Retinol is the form of vitamin A the body can use immediately. It supports vision, immune function, skin integrity, and the health of every mucous membrane in the body. Grass-fed butter contains 3 to 5 times more conjugated linoleic acid, CLA. Research has linked CLA to reduced inflammation, improved insulin sensitivity, and protective effects against certain cancers. It is a compound that can only come from the milk of animals eating living grass. Remove the grass and the CLA disappears. And then there is butyrate. Butyrate is a short-chain fatty acid produced when butter's fat structure breaks down in the colon. It is the primary fuel source for the cells lining your gut wall. It reduces intestinal inflammation, strengthens the gut barrier, and has been studied for its protective effects against colorectal cancer. Real butter feeds your gut lining in a way that no margarine and no seed oil can replicate. The people of the biblical world who ate grass-fed churned butter every day were receiving K2, retinol, CLA, and butyrate simultaneously, without knowing the name of a single one of those compounds, without running a single study. They just felt it in how their families lived and aged. So what happened to this food? How did one of the most nutrient-dense animal foods ever produced a food present at the table of angels, called the diet of the Messiah by the prophet Isaiah, brought in a lordly dish by Jael, end up replaced by a yellow brick of processed fat that delivers a fraction of what the original contained? The answer comes in 2 parts. The first part is margarine. In 1869, a French chemist named Hippolyte Maigre invented margarine as a cheap butter substitute for Napoleon's army. It was made from beef tallow and skimmed milk. By the 20th century, it was being produced from hydrogenated vegetable oils, a process that created trans fats, later confirmed to be one of the most damaging dietary substances ever introduced into the food supply. Trans fats raise LDL cholesterol, lower HDL cholesterol, promote inflammation, and are directly linked to heart disease. For decades, margarine was marketed as the healthy alternative to butter. Heart healthy, lower in saturated fat, better for your arteries. The exact opposite of the truth. And millions of people threw away their butter and replaced it with a factory-produced substitute that contained compounds the human body had never encountered before in its entire evolutionary history. The second part is what happened to the cows. Through the mid-20th century, the industrialization of dairy moved cows off pasture and into feedlots. Grain was cheaper than grass, confinement was more efficient than grazing, and the nutritional profile of the milk and the butter made from it changed entirely. Remove the grass and the K2 drops by 7 times. Remove the grass and the CLA disappears. Remove the grass and the retinol falls. Remove the grass and what remains is a fat that is nutritionally similar in its macronutrient profile, but almost unrecognizable in its micronutrient content. The butter in the yellow wrapper looks like butter. It tastes like butter. It melts like butter. But it is not what Sarah made. It is not what Isaiah described. It is not what Jael served in a lordly dish. It is a paler version of something that was once extraordinary. Made by paler animals eating pale processed grain instead of the living green grass that the biblical world's animals ate every day of their lives. The dairy industry did not set out to destroy the nutritional profile of butter. It set out to produce more of it, faster, more cheaply, at industrial scale. But the consequence of that efficiency was the quiet disappearance of the compounds that had made butter one of the most powerful foods on earth for 4,000 years. Your grandmother, who grew up eating butter from farm animals grazing on real pasture, was eating something fundamentally different from what most people buy today. She did not know why it was different. She just knew her children were strong and her bones did not crumble and her mind stayed clear. She attributed it to good living. The K2 she was eating every day was doing work she could feel but never name. I want to take you back to that tent on the plains of Mamre. Sarah is still at the center pole. The bag is still swaying. The afternoon is still warm and golden and still. She has been watching the bag since morning, not impatiently. She has done this hundreds of times. She knows the sound of the cream when it is ready to break. A slight change in the movement of the bag. A heaviness that was not there an hour ago. She unties the cord at the neck and opens the bag carefully. Inside, the fat has gathered into a soft, golden mass. She lifts it into a clay bowl of cold water and works it gently with her hands. The buttermilk clouds the water and she pours it away. She adds fresh cold water and works the butter again. 3 times, until the water runs clear. She lifts the butter. It is warm from her hands and firm from the cold water. It is a deep, golden color, almost amber at the center, because those goats have been eating the green spring grass of the Hebron Hills since before the rain stopped. She does not know that the grass has transferred its stored sunlight into fat-soluble compounds in the cream. She does not know that she has just concentrated 7 times more of a critical vitamin than any commercial dairy product will ever deliver. She does not know about K2 or osteocalcin or arterial calcification. She knows only what the women before her knew, that this is the best food she can give her family. That it belongs in a lordly dish, that when strangers arrive worthy of honor, you bring out the butter. She carries it to the table beneath the oak where Abraham stands waiting. 3 strangers sit in the shade. The afternoon is perfectly still. And what comes before the promise, before the word that Sarah will have a son, before the announcement that changes everything, is this butter, made by her hands from a culture of living animals eating living grass on living land, that God prepared for exactly this purpose. It was not ordinary food served at an ordinary meal, and the people who understood that most deeply were the ones who'd been eating it their whole life. Let me give you something to take home. 3 things, and the first you can do today. The first step: source the real thing. You do not need to churn your own butter tonight. You need to find butter made from the milk of grass-fed cows. Look for those 2 words on the label. Grass-fed, not grass-finished. Grass-fed meaning the animals ate grass throughout their lives, not just in their final weeks. Kerrygold is widely available and comes from Irish grass-fed cows. Anchor butter from New Zealand is another reliable option. Both deliver significantly higher K2, retinol, and CLA than standard commercial butter. The color tells you something real. Grass-fed butter is deeper yellow, sometimes almost orange, because of the beta-carotene in the grass passing into the fat. Pale white butter comes from pale grain-fed cows. Use it generously. On bread, over vegetables, on eggs, melted into warm drinks. The ancient world did not treat butter as something to be rationed. They treated it as the precious, nourishing food it was and used it freely at every meal. The second step, make your own clarified butter. This is the butter closest to what Sarah and the biblical world actually made and stored. When you remove the water and milk solids from butter through gentle heating, what remains is pure golden fat clarified butter or ghee that stores for months without refrigeration, withstands high cooking temperatures without burning, and delivers its fat-soluble nutrients in concentrated form. Take 1 pound of the best grass-fed butter you can find. Place it in a heavy-bottomed pot over the lowest possible heat. Let it melt slowly. Do not stir it. Within 20 minutes, the milk solids will rise as white foam and sink as golden sediment. The middle layer perfectly clear, deeply golden is your clarified butter. Skim the foam from the top gently. Pour the golden liquid through a cheesecloth into a clean glass jar, leaving the settled sediment behind. What you have now is shelf-stable for months, more concentrated in fat-soluble vitamins than the butter you started with, and almost identical in form to the preserved butter the biblical world stored in clay jars and carried across the desert. A jar of homemade clarified butter from grass-fed cream costs less than the same amount in a store, and it delivers everything those 4,000 years of butter-eating people were building their health on. The third step, eat it the way the biblical world ate it. Isaiah chapter 7 verse 15 named butter and honey together. Not coincidentally, the fat-soluble vitamins in butter are absorbed more effectively alongside the natural enzymes in raw honey. The combination the prophet named for the diet of the Messiah turns out to be nutritionally sophisticated, in a way that Isaiah could not have articulated but clearly understood by observation. Spread clarified butter on fresh flatbread. Drizzle raw honey over the top. Add a pinch of dried thyme or za'atar, the herb blend woven through scripture from Exodus to John. Eat it in the morning as the first food of the day. That is the meal. Butter and honey and bread and herbs. The same meal that has been eaten in the hill country of Judah for 4,000 years. The same food Isaiah pointed to as the diet of wisdom. Grow the herbs if you can. Thyme planted once in an 8-inch pot on any porch comes back every year. Hyssop mentioned from Exodus through the Gospel of John is drought-tolerant and thrives in a container on a windowsill. One plant provides fresh leaves for years. God did not just create the food. He created the land and the animals and the grass and the living system that transforms sunlight into fat-soluble vitamins in the body of a grazing animal. Choosing grass-fed butter is not a dietary preference. It is a return to the original design. 4,000 years ago, on the plains of Mamre, Sarah made butter from the cream of her morning's milking. She worked it with her hands in cold water until it ran clear and golden and dense. She carried it to a table beneath an oak tree where strangers would eat and then deliver a promise that changed the world. 3 times in Scripture, butter is named at moments of extraordinary significance, served to angels, brought in a lordly dish to a military commander, named by a prophet as the diet of the coming Messiah. The people who wrote those words were not making a nutritional argument. They were recording what they observed, that this food belonged at the most important tables, that it was worthy of the most honored guests, that the child who would be the hope of the world would eat it. Modern dairy made butter cheaper. It also made it 7 times less powerful. The real thing still exists, still produced by animals eating living grass the way every animal in the biblical world ate, still containing the K2 and the retinol and the CLA and the butyrate that Sarah's butter delivered to the angels beneath that oak tree. Find the grass-fed version. Make it clarified if you can. Eat it with honey the way Isaiah prescribed, and give your body what it was always designed to receive. What God called the diet of wisdom was never complicated. It was just butter, real butter, from a living animal eating living grass on living ground. The cream is still churning. The gold is still there. Go bring it back to your table. If this fed your spirit the way it feeds the body, subscribe to this channel and watch the video appearing on your screen right now so you never miss what Scripture reveals next. The jar is still golden. The grass is still green. Go make something.